Good morning, class 10. Today we will revise two topics in grammar. One is the modal verbs and second subject verb concord. We have done subject verb concord earlier also. You have done modals also in class 10. So there is the topics are not new to you. There is nothing which you don't know exactly, but it needs revision. So today we will revise. And remember again that the questions from these two lessons also will be multiple choice questions. 4 options will be given. You have to click on the correct option. So in order to click on the correct option, what you should know the rules carefully. There is nothing for you to learn and learn. In this, learning is not required. But yes, you have to understand the rules and you have to remember the rules. Either if you are confused in one or two particular rules, then that part you can learn. But try to remember all in whatever way you want to remember, by reading again and again or by just learning the keywords, because if the rules are known to you, then you will not make any mistake. Now let us start with modal verbs. In modal verbs, children, first let me tell you what are modals. Modals are verbs used to express the mood or attitude of the speaker. They are used before ordinary verbs and express meanings such as permission, possibility, certainty, and necessity. Modals have not s or es in the third person singular. They have no infinitive and ing form. Now let us do the first modal. Has to or have to. Has to or have to are used to express compulsion, necessity, and obligation. Compulsion, showing something which is compulsory, you can't avoid it, you can't skip it. Then necessity, something which is necessary, you should do it because it is necessary for you to do. And obligation in the present or future tenses. Now I am reading some examples to you and you will see how this modal has to or have to is used. Rajendra has to finish his work on time. I have to withdraw money from the bank. Now suppose in multiple choice question you are asked like this: I dash withdraw money from the bank. And the options are have to, had to, must, or none of these. Then you can write must also in this case, and you can write have to also. That means if you click on have to, then also you will get full marks, and if you don't click on have to, you click on must, then also. Because in modals you have to remember one thing, that one modal can be used in different situations also. It is not that must is used in its own place where we have to use according to the rules, otherwise we can't use. Depending upon the type of sentence, you can use must also and have to also, but it will totally depend what the sentence is. So you have to use modals very carefully. You have to apply your logic, seeing the sentence at that time, and modals at times becomes a little confusing also, so you have to revise the rules many a times at home so that you are clicking on the correct option when the options are in front of you. Then in negatives and questions, have to and had to are used with do, does, or did. For example, they don't have to worry about food. She doesn't have to finish the drawings. Prem didn't have to go. So if you are using negatives or questions, then have to or had to are used with do, does, or did. Now the next very important modal is must. Must doesn't have a past tense. First of all, you should remember this. There is no past tense of must. We can use must to talk about the present or the future. To talk about the past, we use had to. To talk about the past, we have to use had to. Now, uses of must. This is very important, children. Must is a very important modal verb. Must is used to express compulsion. First use is to show compulsion. You must come to school in proper school uniform. That means it is compulsory. You can't wear anything and come to school. You must see the doctor at once. Suppose your friend is ill, then it is compulsory at that time. It is the need of the hour, and that is why it is compulsory for him to meet the doctor. So you will advise him that you must meet a doctor. He must work hard in order to pass. Again, it shows compulsion. Then duty. You must help your neighbors. It is your duty to help them. You must obey one's elders. One must obey one's elders. Again, it is your duty to we must respect our parents. No, the previous example I have read, it is for the next use. I am reading the uses of duty once again. Children, by chance, by mistake, I was reading some other example. I will just repeat the whole thing again. Duty, the examples of duty. One must serve one's country. This is your duty to serve your country. You should be dutiful towards your country. One must serve one's country. Then we must respect our parents. We must respect our parents. Then next is obligation. You must help your neighbors. One must obey one's elders. Then necessity. If you want to reach on time, you must run fast. You must speak loudly if you want to be heard. Logical certainty. Logical certainty means if you are sure that something will happen, then you have to give a logical reason for that. It is getting dark. She must have left already. So there is a reason, there is a logic behind why she must have left already, because it is getting dark. Living in such abnormal conditions must be difficult. So if a person wants to give a logic behind why it is difficult to live, because the conditions are abnormal. So such kind of situations come under the modal must. I am repeating once again: to show compulsion, to show duty, to show obligation, necessity, and logical certainty. Now I am giving you one example. Suppose I give you a sentence: one dash serve one's country. There are 4 modal verbs and you have to click on the correct choice. Suppose the choices are one dash serve one's country. First option is must, second option is have to, third option is had to, fourth option is supposing should not. Then automatically, if you know the rules, if you know the modal, then you will click on the option must. So this is how things are going to be put up in your multiple choice questions. Then next is mustn't, or in other words, must not. Mustn't is used to convey the sense of obligation, compulsion, etc., as in the case of must, but in the negative sense. You have studied earlier also that when we add not to any sentence, it becomes negative. So if we are adding not to modal verb must, it gives a negative meaning. We mustn't waste our time. You have fever, you mustn't jump around. She mustn't go late for the interview. Now children, when we are using not in anything, you must remember that in that case, you will not take into consideration one thing, that the whole sentence is giving out a negative meaning. You don't have to bother about whether the sentence is giving you a positive or a negative meaning on the whole or not. You just have to see that you are making the sentence negative. And if you are asked to make a sentence negative, you have to add not and make the sentence negative, irrespective of the fact that the sentence is giving out a positive meaning now or a negative meaning. Next is should or shouldn't. Should is used in all persons, that means first person, second person and third person, to express duty or obligations. Now see, as I told you earlier, that one modal verb, many modal verbs can be used for the same situation. Duty or obligation, you are using must also. You are using must also for duty and obligation. Now you can use should also for duty and obligation. So supposing in any multiple choice question, there is in the question there are 4 options, and in one option there is must and in another option there is should. So either you click on must or you click on should. Understand? And your answer will be taken as the correct answer. Don't click on both. This will be very silly on your part. Click on any one. If you think that in a particular sentence you can fit must also and you can fit should also, then you can click either on must or on should. I am reading out the sentence for you. First I am reading again the rule. Should is used in all persons to express duty or obligation. We should obey the laws. Now here you can also write we must obey the laws. You should be honest. Children shouldn't deface the walls. She should respect her elder brother. Next, should is used to express caution or purpose. Now see, the same modal verb should, but the use is different. Should is used to express caution, that means some warning, or purpose. Examples: work hard lest you should fail. It is showing caution. It is a kind of warning that work hard lest you should fail. Now whenever, one thing is very important, children, one thing you must keep in mind, it is a rule. Whenever you are seeing lest in any sentence, lest is always followed by should. Remember this, it's a rule. Lest is always followed by should. So if you see lest in any sentence, that means you will not write any other modal verb, but you will only write should, or you will only click on the option should. This is very important for you to remember. Okay, lest is always followed by should. You have to keep in mind, if you see in any sentence lest is there, then you will not click on any other modal verb but on should. Work hard lest you should fail. Walk carefully lest you should fall. So keep this in mind. Next is advice. You should not speak loudly. Now see again the third use of the modal verb should. Here should is used to give advice. You should not speak loudly. She should learn the facts properly. We should not jump to conclusions. So as I have told earlier also, one modal verb can be used in different situations. You have to remember which modal verb is used in which situations. Don't start learning any sentences. There is no need at all. If you know which modal verb can be used for which sentences, then you will never make a mistake. And one easy way to remember is make a table out of this modal verb. Draw it in a tabular form and write the modal and its uses, or whatever way you think is easy for you to learn. You should know the modal verb and its uses. Next is guess or supposition. Guess or supposition. Should is also used for guesswork or when we suppose something. imagine something, suppose something. It shouldn't rain. The sky is clear. Now this is a guesswork. You can't be sure, but you can guess. If the sky is clear, then you are guessing that it should not rain. If my father should see me at the restaurant, he will be annoyed. Again, you are supposing, you are guessing that if your father sees you in a restaurant, he will be annoyed. The baby should be about a year old. If you see a baby in any shop, you don't know that baby, so you don't know the exact age also, but you can guess, you can suppose that this baby should be about a year old. It shouldn't take them more than 3 hours to reach here. Again, it is a guess or a supposition. So we have read how many modals till now? Has to or have to, then must, which is very, very important, then mustn't, it is the negative form of must, then should or shouldn't, which is used in showing duty or obligation, then it is used to show caution or purpose, then for advice, and for guess or supposition. Now we will see the next modal, that is need. Need is used to express necessity or obligation, generally in an interrogative sense in the present tense. For example, need you worry about your lost documents? Need I tell you more? Need she pay the amount? So, need is used in interrogative sentences and to show a necessity or obligation. Next, needn't or need not. This is the negative form of need. Need or needn't or need not is used to express necessity in the negative sense. I need not meet him. I can very well hear you. You needn't shout. You need not have abused him. Now, next modal which I am going to read out is again very important, that is ought to. Ought to is also very, very similar to must. So, keep in mind, don't get confused. Ought to is used to express, firstly, obligation or desirability. See the examples. We ought to love our neighbors. Now, I am reading out one thing which it will help you to compare. As I just told you that ought to is very, very similar to must. When I had read out must as a modal verb to you, then in the example of obligation, I had read out you must help your neighbors. Here in ought to, I am reading we ought to love our neighbors. So, if such a sentence comes, then either you can write must or you can mark ought to. Both are correct, because ought to and must, I think it will be correct to say that both go parallel. Ought to and must are very similar in their meaning as far as obligation is concerned. So you can write ought to also, you can mark must also, whichever option you think is the best according to the sentence. But again, I am reminding you children, in multiple choice question, be very careful, mark only one best suitable answer which you think is best at that moment. Don't mark two. Mark only one. Otherwise, if you are marking 2, then I think I will have to give you a 0 in that case, because that is a wrong way to answer. Yes, I am reading once again. Ought to is used to express obligation or desirability, like we ought to love our neighbors, you ought to respect your elders. In must, I had read out one must obey one's elders. Here it is, you ought to respect your elders. He ought to get the promotion. Here ought to means must. He must get the promotion. Duty. Second use of ought to is to show duty. We ought to help the poor. That means it is our duty to help the poor. You ought to respect the traffic rules. That means it is our duty to respect the traffic rules. Probability. Probability means chances. The prices of onions ought to come down soon. Probability. Logical deduction. That means a logical conclusion. The book has been received well. It ought to fetch a good price. That means you are coming to a logical conclusion that the book has been welcomed in the market by the people, by the readers, and it should fetch a good price. It should be sold well. The chief guest has left. He ought to be here any minute. Again, a logical deduction. That means you are drawing a conclusion, a logical conclusion, that the chief guest has left already and he ought to come here any minute. Last modal is ought not. Ought not is the negative form of ought. It advises against something. He ought not smoke so much. Ought to means you must do that. It is used generally for showing that you must do a particular thing, you are obliged to do it, it is compulsory for you to do. Ought not means you should not do, you must not do. He ought not smoke so much. We ought not respect our elders. Usually, to is not used after ought when followed by not. That means if we are not using not, then we are only using ought to. To is used with ought. But when we are using not, then ought to is not used. To is not used in that case. We will just write ought not. He ought not dash dash dash. It will be wrong to say he ought to not. Understand? So this is how you have to revise the modal verbs. In the PDF, you will see a small sample exercise of the modal verbs and the subject verb concord. It will help you to understand how the questions can be put up and how you have to mark the correct option. Now I am starting with another topic, that is subject verb concord. This we have done last year also in detail. I had made you write all the rules in detail. So today we will just brush up. Subject verb concord, as the heading itself suggests, we have to keep in mind what is the subject and what verb should we put or should we use. A coordination between the subject and the verb. First rule: a singular subject takes the verb in singular and the plural subject takes the verb in plural. We all know this. If you are writing Ram dash a good boy, then you will never write Ram are a good boy. Ram is a singular subject, you will take a singular verb. Ram is a good boy. Okay, so a singular subject takes a singular verb, a plural subject takes the plural verb. Second, two or more singular nouns or pronouns joined by and generally take a plural verb. Second rule, important rule. If there are two or more nouns or pronouns which are joined by and, then they take a plural verb. For example, I am reading out one example where there are two pronouns joined by and. She and I were playing. She and I. She, I. Both are pronouns joined by and. So if you see two pronouns or two nouns in a sentence joined by and, then you will use a plural verb. Another example, both her books and pen have been lost. Books is also a noun, pen is also a noun, and they have been joined by and. So if two nouns are joined by and, then we will take a plural verb. Here the plural verb is have. We will not write has been lost. Third rule, when two singular nouns refer to the same person, the verb must be in singular. Important. When two singular nouns refer to the same person, we use a singular verb because we are talking about one person. We are not talking about two different personalities in that sentence. I am reading a question, I am reading a sentence. Her friend and classmate is dead. Her friend and classmate, that means we are talking about that personality, that person who was a friend also and her classmate also. We are not talking about two different people. So if we are talking about one person and we are describing two things about the same person, that means we have to use a singular verb. Next rule. When a singular subject is qualified by each, every, neither, either, the verb must be in singular. If we see that a sentence or a subject is we are using each, every, either, neither before the subject, the sentence is starting with this, then we use a singular verb. For example, each of you has to attend the match. We will not write each of you have to attend. Why? Because we are using each, and each shows individual person being talked about. We are talking about each individual. We are talking about individual person. So we will use a singular subject. Another example, neither of the teams was very strong. Neither of the teams. There are two or more teams, supposing. We are talking about each team. We are describing the strength of each team. That is why we will use a singular verb. Next, when two subjects are joined by either or neither nor, the verb agrees with the subject nearest to it. Another very important rule. I am reading again. When two subjects are joined by either or neither nor, then you will select the verb according to the subject which is in the second place, which is nearest to the verb. I am reading one example and you will come to know what I am saying. Neither the guru nor the disciples are present. There are two subjects, guru and disciples. Now how we will decide the verb? We will decide the verb according to the subject, the singular or the plural subject which is closest to the verb. Okay, so in this, the subject closest to the verb is plural subject. That is why we will write a plural verb. Neither the guru nor his disciples are present. Suppose here it was disciple, then you will write is present. I am reading another example for you to be more clear. Either the boys, again see the sentence is starting with either and it will be followed by or. Either the boys or the teacher is wrong. Again I said there are two subjects in this sentence also. Firstly, the sentence is starting with either and there will be or in the later half of the sentence, because this rule is applicable only in those sentences which have neither nor or either or. If we see either or neither nor in the sentence and there are two subjects, like in the second example, boys is one subject, teacher is the second subject. So we have to see that the second subject is singular or plural. If it is singular, then the verb will be a singular verb after the second subject. If it is plural, then the verb will be a plural verb after the second subject. Next, when the nouns are compound in form making one unit, the verb must be singular. When the nouns are compound in form, that means although there are two nouns, but they are taken as one unit, so we will use a singular verb. For example, bread and butter is their only food. We don't eat butter separately and bread separately, isn't it? We use bread and butter together. So although they are two different identities, but they are considered as one unit. That is why bread and butter, you will not write are, you will write is their only food. Next rule. When a sentence begins with introductory there, the verb must agree with the noun that follows it. That means if the sentence is starting with there, then you will see that the noun which is in the sentence is a singular noun or a plural noun. According to that, the verb will be selected. For example, suppose I write, there dash 10 apples in the basket. The sentence is starting with there, and the word apples, noun is plural noun. Apples is used. So automatically your common sense will tell you that you will write a plural verb and it will be are. There are 10 apples in the basket. Next example, there dash a swimming pool in my house. Now swimming pool is a plural noun or a singular noun? It is a singular noun, so the verb will be singular. There is a swimming pool in the house. Next rule, the nouns plural in form but singular in meaning take a singular verb. The nouns which are plural in form, they look plural but they have a singular meaning, then they use a singular verb. For example, the news is true. When we talk about news, it looks like a plural word and it has a plural meaning also, but it is taken as a singular word. That is why it is always accompanied by a singular verb. News is true. We never write the news are true. Never you will write this. Next, collective nouns take verb in singular. Important. Collective nouns take verb in singular, but when individuals are taken separately, the verb is plural. Collective nouns take a singular verb. The herd of cattle is grazing in the field. The herd of cattle, because herd of cattle here is a collective noun. A herd of cattle is grazing in the field. We will not write are grazing. But when individuals are talked about separately, then we take a plural verb. For example, the jury were divided in their opinion. The jury means many judges sitting together. They form a jury. Okay, so jury were divided in their opinion. Why were? Because we are talking about the opinion of each individual. Next, a plural noun referring to distance, weight, height, amount of money represent a single figure or quantity. The verb is singular. That means if you are using anything showing distance, height, weight, etc., singular verb is used.